for everybody being here. And I'm very, very honored to be invited again by Karen, talking about this popular, very, very important topic, cultural Marxism. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself for those who met me for the first time. I was born in communist China. I spent my first 26 years there, and I lived through the entire Cultural Revolution that Mao launched, and it lasted for 10 years, from 1966 to 1976 when he died. So I witnessed everything, death and destruction of that cultural revolution. And so after I graduated from high school, there was nothing for young people like me in urban areas because everything was in ruins. So Mao sent us to the countryside to get our re-education, a term that more and more Americans have heard about now. Re-education, and I worked in the fields. It's pretty much labor camp, even though it's just a light urban labor camp. Work in the fields under primitive conditions for 3 years before I could go to college. By then, Mao died, and Deng Xiaoping, his successor, supposed to be a reformer, reopened the university. And then I was able to go to college to study English. In 1986, I was able to come to America. But here is really my journey started. When I came to America, I believed that I left communism behind me, that I come to a land of freedom and I don't have to worry about anything. I absolutely believed freedom is automatic in this magic land and will always be there. Like many, many immigrants, I focused on realizing my American dream, getting a degree, get a good job, get married, buying a house. I just paid no attention to politics until later I start to notice things that remind me of the Chinese Cultural Revolution, and it started with political correctness. In the beginning, it was really benign, and we just asked to say, to use better terms, nicer terms, and such as we should not say blind, we should say people with vision, challenge, whatever. It kept changing. That is the problem. I realized, at first I said, wow, Americans are really, really nice people. And I'm on board. I will use the terms that they said we should use. And then you notice that it kept changing and changing and changing. Do you know what is the accepted word for people with vision problem? Blind. Yeah. And then I realized it's not about the term. It's about control. It's about control our speech. And I see a lot of things that the racial division, and I really think something is really wrong. But I still refuse to believe this is communism. This is cultural Marxism until 2020. Until 2020, I, like every American, just woke up like, what happened to this country? What is really going on? And then I have flashback. Everything I saw on TV remind me of the Cultural Revolution. And so I said, I cannot stay silent anymore. So in 2021, I went to the school board meeting in Loudoun County, Virginia, and I delivered just less than a 1 minute comment and tell everybody that what they were pushing in school, the CRT, is Marxism, is the Chinese Cultural Revolution repeating here. And I did what I thought was my duty, and I did not think much about it. And I was so surprised it went viral. I was like, this is something everyone knows. Cultural Revolution. Yeah. No. Very soon I found out it's not the case. It is not the case. People here in America don't know. They don't know about communism. They know very little about Chinese communism. They know nothing about the Cultural Revolution. And that's the problem. And that is the problem, that people here do not know history. So if you ask me today, how do we save America? How do we save the younger generation? History. History is what is missing. And it's not that it's not taught by accident. It is by design. They don't want the people to know. And so I think after I realized that, I think this will be my mission. I will be the one to really educate Americans of this very, very important history. What is going on today is nothing new. It happened before. It happened to me. So I think that is what I'm trying to do here, to tell everyone what is the Chinese Cultural Revolution. And then you can see the parallels that's happening right here in America. So communist revolution, there are two kinds. One is the typical armed uprising, using force to overthrow a sitting government. And Mao did that in 1949. He used his Red Army to overthrow the nationalist government and drove them out of China to the island of Taiwan. And then he launched another revolution, and that is a cultural revolution in 1966. What's the difference? The first one was to overthrow a sitting government. So was the second one. Only this time, he wanted to overthrow his own government, his own party, his own institutions, because he felt like he was not in total control of his own party. He was willing to overthrow everything and burn everything to the ground and build back, not better, but his way. The first time he used military, he used soldiers. How about the second time? He has a better army. This is not a military. This is the young kids, the kids from as young as elementary school all the way to universities and colleges, and those are his Red Guards. What's really interesting is that he had a system to indoctrinate the people so that they join his revolution. And that's something we really need to learn, because what's going on in America is Maoism. And it's upgraded Maoism to really suit America. So I think it's very appropriate to call what's going on in America is Maoism with American characteristics. Okay, so what do you do if you want to have a revolution? The first thing is that you got to have enemy, right? You got to have enemy. So that's, in today's term, it's identity politics. So in the beginning, he promised his the followers. Who are those followers? Proletarian, the poor. And by promising them what? Free stuff, free land. And then he has another part of the followers. Those are the intellectuals. Always remember, communist revolution always led by intellectuals, just like today. So that's how he got his support to take over China. And how did he get the support of the peasants? Easy, equity. Equity. So they have to brainwash the peasants that the reason you are poor is because he is rich. That's it. So it's not like, that he might work harder, he might be smarter and making good decisions. No, you are poor because he's rich. That's how he was able to mobilize the peasantry, the proletarian, the poor, the landless, to follow him. So that is his way to divide people, making enemies. So in the Chinese Communist Revolution, what is the original sin? It's the wealth. Being rich made you the enemy of the state. Okay, so after he took power, he divided the entire Chinese population into 5 categories. Okay, 2 is landlords and rich peasants, enemy of the country, of the state. And then middle class and the poor peasants, upper middle class, they group together, they are the allies. So everyone now got identity. And that is a serious identity. And it's identity that you pass down to your children and your children's children. I grew up knowing my identity. I have kind of like a 2 identity. If I going back 3 generations, I belong to this enemy category, which is labeled as black class, because my grandmother owned land. And if we go back to 2 generations, I'm kind of pink, because my father abandoned his family and joined the revolution. So then I was okay. So there are so many forms that I filled out throughout my life. And I know if it's going back to 3, I'm bad, landlord, enemy. If going back to 2, I'm kind of okay. That is how Mao divided the entire Chinese population. Everyone knows their identity. Just like today, we know that the categories of labels, and that label is growing, right? We know it's growing. Okay, so that's how they divide. When you have a revolution, you have to divide. You have to make part of the population enemy. And so second, so when you have a revolution, you have a goal. What is the goal of a cultural revolution? You have to destroy the system, whatever that system is. So during the Cultural Revolution, the goal is to destroy everything that is old. Here I have to do this. I just have to do this. Imagine what can be unburdened by what has been. That really sums up the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Destroy anything in the past. But Mao have a different term. That is, destroy the 4 olds. Old tradition, old ideas, old habits, and old custom. Everything has to go. and everything that's Chinese really have to go. Like what? Destroy the statues, changing the names of streets, roads, institutions, food brand, and even personal names to be politically correct. And thank you. And the social norms. That's family, that's gender. You think this is new, that now we're denouncing toxic masculinity? No. Mao did that during the Cultural Revolution. Instead of denouncing masculinity, it's toxic femininity, because he considered that not revolutionary, that's not tough, that is bourgeois, that need to be dismantled. So we were taught as young girls, there's no difference between men and women. What men can do, we can do better. Yeah, we talk like men, we think like men, we dress like men, we look like men. Look at the old pictures during the Cultural Revolution. It's a sea of genderless people. They all look the same. In order to have a cultural revolution, you got to have chaos. How did the Red Guards was able to create chaos and destroy everything? Not just statues. They even went people's homes to get those 4 odes, this hidden 4 odes from people's homes. How could they do that? Mao dismantled the Chinese criminal justice system. Police were told, you could, if my Red Guards hit you, you cannot hit back. Sounds familiar? Yeah, sounds familiar. It is the same thing. They defund the police, but there they destroyed the criminal justice system. So the Red Guards could go to the street and do whatever, no consequences. And that's what happened during the Cultural Revolution. All you need to have is a badge, said Red Guards. You could do anything. And how about here today? You have a Black Matter Life, a sign somewhere, you could do anything. Same thing. So that is what really the Cultural Revolution is about. But how could you get those people to do, the Red Guard to do those things? Indoctrination. How long did it take Mao to create a generation of young people that could not think, that would do one thing, obey the order of their supreme leader? 17 years. Since 1949, he controlled the schools, absolutely taught the kids just one thing. That's Marxism ideology. All the history have been either rewritten or erased. They knew nothing. They could not think. And I'm one of those. Could not think. Only could take orders. And that's what's going on in America. You have to control the educational system in order to brainwash the kids and make them the future revolutionaries. So, and here I really, really want people to know what happened to those revolutionaries. The Red Army helped Mao take over China. The Red Guards helped Mao to take over power. And what happened to them? Did they share a seat at the table? No, of course not. And this is the story that the people don't know. What happened to the peasants who helped Mao to take over China? Starved to death, 50 million of them. And what happened to the Red Guards? After their job was done, they were exiled to the countryside, to the gulags, to be re-educated by the peasants. And that is something I really, really, truly want the people on the other side to know. You think you're on the winning side, and you think that you have a seat at the table? You need to learn a little bit of the history. You are the first to go. And so to wrap up, I think it is absolutely, absolutely so true when Trump said, it is the enemy within. I'm with him 100%. The enemy is communism. The enemy are those people who line them with this toxic, deadly ideology. And the enemy is that political party now transformed into a communist party. And we know what it is. And communism is the enemy within. And how do we combat communism? History. We got to learn history. We got to teach our kids real history of communism. And I think that's the only way that we can, going forward, save our republic and save our children. Thank you.